These are the three biggest crawler cranes on Earth, and yes, they're all Chinese. Our countdown begins with a monster called the Sany SCC36000TM. Now, this isn't your everyday construction crane. This thing is a giant on tracks, designed for one of the toughest jobs on Earth, building nuclear power plants. Its maximum lifting capacity? 3,600 metric tons. That's roughly 8 fully loaded Boeing 747s being lifted straight into the sky. Think about that, 8 airplanes all at once. The real magic lies in its twin boom design, which gives it both stability and precision. You can't afford even a millimeter of error when you're moving something like a reactor vessel. And this crane? It handles that pressure like a surgeon. It's the kind of power that quietly moves the world forward, literally building the foundations of modern energy. But as jaw-dropping as it sounds, this one only takes the bronze medal. Next, China takes it even higher. Coming in at number 2 is a name that made headlines around the world: the XCMG XGC88000. This beast changed the game. When it first rolled out, it didn't just break records, it obliterated them. The XGC88000 can lift 4,000 metric tons, or about 4,400 US tons. To put that into perspective, that's the weight of 30 blue whales, the largest animals on Earth. In 2013, this crane pulled off something legendary. It lifted a 2,155-ton propylene tower over 360 feet high in one go. Normally, such a structure would be built in smaller parts, piece by piece. But with this crane, it went up in a single lift. That saved months and millions in cost. What makes this crane special isn't just its raw strength, it's how efficiently it delivers that power. It became the workhorse of China's energy and industrial projects, showing how precision and power can go hand in hand. For years, it was the undisputed king of cranes. But in true Chinese fashion, they decided even that wasn't enough. At the top of the mountain stands a machine that practically redefines what's possible: the Sany SCC45000A. This isn't just a crane, it's the crane, the most powerful land-based crawler crane ever built. The SCC45000A can lift 4,500 metric tons. That's nearly 5,000 US tons of pure muscle. It's taller than a skyscraper, with a main boom that stretches nearly 400 feet. And when you add the luffing jib, it reaches almost 700 feet high. To balance its enormous lifts, it uses over 2,200 tons of counterweight. And to move this mechanical giant from one place to another, you need a fleet of over 200 trucks just to carry its parts. Imagine the sight: 200 trucks crawling across a highway, each carrying a piece of one colossal machine. That's not a construction project, that's a parade of industrial power. And when it arrives on site, it can do what no other machine on Earth can. It can lift modules the size of buildings into place with pinpoint accuracy, cutting down construction times that used to take years into just months. It's not just an engineering masterpiece, it's a statement. So that's our top 3. But now comes the real question: why does one country, China, own all 3 spots on this list? It's not luck, it's not a coincidence, it's a strategy. Let's rewind to the early 2000s. China was exploding, not literally, but industrially. The country was in the middle of the biggest construction boom in human history. Entire cities were rising in years, not decades. Power plants, skyscrapers, refineries, you name it, they were building it. But there was one problem. Many of these projects needed super heavy lifts, massive sections weighing thousands of tons. And the cranes that could do that? They came from Germany or the US. The problem? They were expensive, limited, and foreign-controlled. China couldn't wait months to rent one or pay through the nose every time. So the government made a bold decision: we'll build our own. This wasn't just a company initiative, it was a national mission. In China's famous 5-year plans, super heavy lifting was listed as a strategic industry, as important as aerospace or energy. From that point on, Chinese companies like Sany and XCMG went all in. They invested in research, partnered with Western companies, learned the technology, and then pushed it further. First off, China had something no one else had: industrial muscle. To build cranes of this size, you need heavy steel, massive castings, hydraulic systems, and specialized engines. China already had the world's largest steel industry and an army of factories ready to take on any scale of production. It's like trying to bake the world's biggest cake, but you already own the flour mill, the sugar refinery, and the bakery. That vertical control, owning every step of the process, made it faster and cheaper to innovate. Second, these companies had government support. We're talking huge state-backed financing and research programs. Unlike Western companies that need to show profit every quarter, Chinese firms could invest long-term, 10, even 20 years ahead, knowing the state had their back. Third, they had real-world experience on a scale the world had never seen. Every month, somewhere in China, a new refinery, bridge, or power plant was going up. That meant these cranes weren't just sitting in showrooms. They were constantly at work, being tested, improved, and upgraded. Western cranes might do a few heavy lifts in a lifetime. Chinese cranes were doing dozens every year. That constant trial and feedback loop turned them from learners to leaders, fast. Of course, China didn't stop there. Once they built these giants for their own projects, they began exporting them around the world. And this is where the Belt and Road Initiative comes in, a global plan to build ports, bridges, power plants, and railways across Asia, Africa, and beyond. When China finances a new port in Sri Lanka or a nuclear power plant in Pakistan, guess whose cranes get the job? That's right, Chinese cranes like the Sany SCC45000A or XCMG XGC88000. It's not just business, it's industrial diplomacy. By supplying the machines that literally build other nations' infrastructure, China creates long-term partnerships. You don't just buy a crane, you enter a network of Chinese engineering, technology, and influence. And this shift is huge. For over a century, the world looked to the West, Germany, and the US for its most advanced machinery. But now the biggest and strongest tools come from somewhere else. The balance of industrial power has quietly shifted east. So when you see a mega crane like the SCC45000A towering over a refinery or nuclear site, it's not just lifting steel, it's lifting a nation's ambition. Each of these cranes represents decades of planning, policy, and progress. They're proof that when you combine national will, industrial power, and massive demand, you can leapfrog even the oldest players in the game. And maybe that's the real story here. It's not just about the cranes, it's about the mindset behind them. China didn't wait for permission. It saw a challenge, built the tools, and changed the game. These cranes don't just lift steel, they lift nations. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories that build the world.